This is all about what matters, what matters to us in the use of public space that could be a mall. And I'm looking forward to talking to you more about that and give you a little history about the visionary who came up with this idea of a mall.
Hi, everyone. So I'm talking with you today from Cornwall. I think today I'm going to share with you and give you a little bit of an idea about what is Cornwall Art Hive and why I established the Cornwall Art Hive in the mall and other places. Thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to share the story, and I'm always passionate about sharing how the universe is working to make this beautiful dreams comes true.
I'm associate professor in creative arts therapies at Concordia, and I'm happy that my team is here. Thank you so much for joining us today. And all of you community members make this real. And we're here to listen to you. I know Yafa has a lot to share today, and I'm excited to hear her story. But I also want to hear from Lisa and Lorraine and everyone else who has ideas about malls. We need to come together on this because we're coming to the end of our FRQ project. So we really want to figure out what our next steps are together. But anyway, I'm happy to still be very engaged with Engage. It's an amazing organization. But anyway, it's great to be here.
Janis Timm-Bottos is an art therapist and professor at Concordia and Bishop Universities. She is the creator of the Art Hive movement and the principal investigator of Meet Me at the Mall project hosted in the Cavendish Mall. Janis.
I wanted to begin today just to mention and talk just a minute about Victor Gruen, who was the visionary behind the whole mall experience. He really did believe that a hub that could be created in suburbia would help bring people together, and that density that would come into the suburbia would actually help prevent sprawl from happening. And he also thought it would improve the downtown area. He presented his work in 1952 through architectural magazines, and people could not get behind it at all. They couldn't believe that such an idea could happen. I think it's important to notice that it did happen in such an incredible way. The malls, once it hit in the right places in the corporate mentality of what the potential could be, it really took off. Victor Gruen was an Austrian architect, pretty much based in a socialist mentality, and really believed that the mall was a place of social gathering, that it would have libraries and daycare centers and recreational activities, and the commodity piece of it, or the marketplace, was very small in relationship to what his vision was about. So in 1956, he attempted and did well as a developer, because at that point people were very interested in his ideas. And in Edina, Minnesota, in 1956, he opened the first mall. The idea that he was creating a commons or a shared space for anyone to be able to gather together was such a great idea. The idea is not new. As humans, we naturally want to be together. We want to be with people like ourselves. And so oftentimes many communities that gather, and including at the Cavendish Mall, there is a particular emphasis in terms of who's there. I think that is one aspect of what we call third space. And that's what we're going to talk about today. That's what we're talking about today, is how do we develop more third spaces, which are hard to find. Third space is something that does exist between your home and your work or your school. It's usually free and open to the public. So an example would be libraries or rec space or a community center. These spaces, it could also be a cafe, or because it can be monetized. But I think the main point is that as in the Cavendish Mall, for example, and I think in many malls across North America, many people will go to the mall to meet up with their friends in the food court, for example. It's a very common place to gather. And so these spaces become essential, especially in colder climates like Canada, to be able to continue to interact in winter months without spending a lot of money. So when the mall became more and more a marketplace, it was a boom. Everyone that could be brought into that idea of a capitalist way of living, purchasing things were, everyone was doing quite well. For about 40 years, the malls have led the marketplace. And then what happened is, as we all know, the big box store, Walmart, was one of the major damaging effects on the small shops that were in the malls. And then even they could no longer really hold against the digital world and people just being able to shop from home. And so all these things are creating what has been known since the 90s as the dining mall movement. And people have fought hard to try to revive malls, but they're not doing well. The point is that even though the malls aren't doing well, people still need social spaces to gather. We long for them.
I just want to add to this idea about why malls are special. So I have been doing the Cornwall Art Hive in the library once a month, and then the park, and then of course in the mall. I have a feeling that still, whenever we can go more simple in our gatherings and make it open for everyone, and especially for people who are not really following the Cornwall Art Hive. I'm always happy to make other people taste the art. In the library, it was a little bit challenging. It's still a little bit, because the idea of a program, or they have to register, or what about the mask? It was a little bit challenging for a while till they get to know. Also, we need to be clean, we need to be quiet. It's still a library. And then we go to the mall and everyone is open and it's crazy. The noise, it is happening out of our hands because there is kids running and there is people wants to eat. And this is a live kind of atmosphere, especially, of course, we have a change in the weather that it might be cold, might be very hot. So I still think the mall should again be not only a shopping place, but a gathering place. So how to make this feeling of gathering people comfortable? I think we need all to put this energy of welcoming people and sit with them for real, especially after the pandemic.
Yeah, we long for places like Yafa just discussed.
So I'm presenting to you Yafa Goawily. She has a diploma in fine arts and also in producing films at the University of Alexandria in Egypt. For her, the art is part of her identity. She has experimented many different types of art, from making shows in fine arts. And she also started Art Hive at the Cornwall Mall and other public space. And today she'll share her experience with us.
I think the main intention is to open my heart today and tell you why I started this Cornwall Art Hive here, and why I cannot live without art, and why I feel it's important if we get to know this magic that we must share with everyone else. I grew up in Egypt, and then I left, I think I was 24 years old, and I went all over the world. And then when I got my first son, I based myself in Dubai for 10 years, and then I left Dubai and came to Canada. And then in Montreal, I got to know there is something called Concordia and Hive, and I was sitting, and then I think at that time Rachel as well was there, and she said, just sit and create. And I was like, you don't want me to make something? Like, there is no project, we're all gonna work? And she said, no, it's a free space. Do whatever you want. Finally, I can sit and do anything. Like, this is amazing. So I'm free just to sit and create. And then from here, I came to Cornwall, and then after 10 days, the pandemic started. I think after a month, I took my material and the kids' material, and I was sitting in front of my house and I created art with strangers. And then the magic happened, right? We couldn't stop. Now we are, as Cornwall Art Hive, 2 years, and we have some little bit of the support from the YAC, which is Your Art Council here in the area. We are blessed with 3 places they're accepting us: the mall once a month, the park, and the library. Especially in the mall, I found it very interesting that the mall needed us and we needed the mall. It was like a love relationship. You have the space, you have the bathrooms, we have the material, and we have the energy, and we want to create with you. We have always free material from the community. And it's overwhelming that everybody know now that it's very important to get together and create art. So everyone who have more art material, they don't need, they just come with it and they keep giving us. And the city of Cornwall got to know about our project. So they said, we want to support you. What do you want to do? So I said, I would love to make people able to try the graffiti. So the city did build for us a small, tiny walls, but it is there and it's amazing. The intention from the wall was not only the graffiti. The intention is to create a space and a place and a mark that is open for people to come and create even when we are not there. They know that the Cornwall Art Hive was there, and it's a live wall. Everyone can keep changing in it. And last week, we actually started also painting in the benches. So the Cornwall, I think it's like become a blessing that they know how it's important that the Cornwall Art Hive is open for everyone. We're not asking for a professional artist to be with us. It's an idea of having a safe space, and then people keeps coming. So this is our spot here in the mall. So the mall is giving us a space and the table, and we are sitting here in front of the dollar store. We have two volunteers, and this is Richard Salim. And Richard, he's the main person. He's helping me with the Cornwall Art Hive. And of course, he's supporting as a YAC. He used to be the chair of the YAC, and he's my friend. So we're helping each other to make this grow. I am blessed to see the community and the Cornwall believes in creating with me. And of course, the YAC supported. So we have been able to print papers and make these posters. This is one of the big invitations that we don't ask people if really they have to stay for the whole session or the time. And we really don't lead much. People inspire each other. It's like the laugh. Someone did a cat and then someone did a rabbit, and then suddenly everybody just, gets together and they kept creating. Our mission, I think, is just to make them feel welcome and safe and no judgment in whatever they create, and everybody's welcome. And every time is different stories and different in inspiring things, because sometimes family coming together, sometimes single moms with the kids, or a grandmother walking in the mall, and she just decided to sit for a while with her granddaughter, and then she will start to create herself. I think this was very needed after 2 years of not seeing each other, and everybody was afraid to be with other people. It's a healing that we get together and we create.
Thank you, Yafa. That was beautiful. It's so inspirational to hear you speak, and just the energy that you bring to the work. And I also recognize that energy is the energy we get when we're doing the work we love to do. So I share that enthusiasm with you, as does many of us. So thank you for sharing. And so the Engaged Living Lab shown here has been a good example of how to use a mall space that is really welcoming to people. And we did look for a mall that had a very nice number of older adults, because that was an area we were very interested in understanding. We were interested in learning from people, older adults that had lived long lives, that had a lot of knowledge to share. So when George talks about, what is science? Well, for me, this is what science is. It's about learning from each other, and it's about having connections between people that we aren't familiar with, perhaps, and being able to exchange ideas and create new ideas together. So I think the students that have been working with us in the malls have done an amazing job. Here's some of Karen Lee's students sharing their work to help diversify the mall that we've been working in, the Cavendish Mall. So what happened was we have opened the mall 3 times now over the several years since the pandemic started. We started with this great idea, but it was, in retrospect, it was very naive, that we could open a space, have an art hive, which we really knew a lot about. We knew how to have an art hive and host a welcoming, engaging space. And then Naj brought the media spa, which has been wonderful to have the combination of technology and the hands-on art skills as well. And we thought if we did that, then we could invite people who were isolated to join us. And that was our goal, is to really reduce social isolation and see how that could be done in a mall space. Well, within a very short time, as you know, we had to close, and we weren't prepared for that. I think our closure taught us so much about what we didn't have together, that we needed to get together to continue. And that was really a sense of how to care for people, when things don't work like they normally work. And so out of that, of course, we did have the knowledge and an amazing staff of RAs to be able to take things online, which happened throughout the entire project. But we also needed to be able to find ways to care for people who weren't online, and feel we did a pretty good job. And we're still working on this idea of circle of care. Some of the RAs went right into calling people, having group calls. So these pieces of care have become sort of the theme, I think, of what matters when we look to the future. So, the future is rather great. If pandemics continue to happen, if we continue to have mandatory lockdowns, we need to know how to connect with each other, because people form attachments, and we had those going on, and then we had to let them go, and then we're bringing them back. So it's been really challenging to bring back the energy we had, like the energy that Yafa is sharing with us. That's built over time with a particular group of people that are all working in the same direction. So the hope is that we can figure out how to do this in a more flexible model that comes and goes. So people form attachments with each other, but they also form attachments to places. And even though the mall is no longer perhaps a monetary winner, it still could be used in a social infrastructure for social purposes. I think it all could happen. A lot of times when buildings have been designed, they aren't thought about in those terms. But I think that as we move into the future, we're going to find more and more economic reasons why we have to have a social infrastructure for people to gather. It's really important. So our interest has been what matters about the malls? What do people want to do there? Whether it's walking or talking or doing yoga or dancing, what is it that we want to do? And that's what I'd love to open up right now to you, to ask you about, to really have a discussion about how can we move this forward in a way that we'd like to call it scaling. We'd like to bring more of this to other places. So I'm really interested in hearing your ideas. Yes, that's fantastic. I'm sure Yafa has some good answers for that because she's been doing it. And we have a little bit of good news in terms of activating our forces to be able to get in touch with the managers in a better way, I think. But Yafa, why don't you talk to that?
Thank you. Again, as you said, I'm looking for the source of why I'm doing this. So if I keep reminding myself why I'm doing this, and then we keep recharging each other. And with the mall, to answer this question, I tell you honestly, I was happy hosting in front of my house. And then it was getting cold and I couldn't stay outside of my house any longer. And I asked a lady that she have a studio. And Linda said, of course, come, people are welcome. So we tried, but we didn't have much people coming. It was only our friends, the circle of people we know. And then I went to another friend, she owned a coffee shop. And I told her, Carol, can we have your coffee shop and we just do art for 2 hours every week? And I will do it totally for free, just to be there with the people. And she said yes, and the coffee and cookies $1 for free, just get the people in. I think the pandemic, as it was a very challenging time for us, but also some light came to people's hearts and mind that we really miss each other, and it's very important for us to see each other. And it doesn't matter for the product or what is a project, the human connection together makes us better people. And I think from here, the studio said yes for free, and then the coffee shop said yes for free. And here I get to have newcomers to the country, and they said we didn't know where to go. It was always the office or the church or the mosque, but here I'm happy to get my kids with me because there is no much questions asked. We just sit and create, and it was beautiful to see them. And here everybody's walking in the same direction out of the need and feelings that we need to be together. And they felt home and more connected to the place, not only the place like this area, to the whole land, because they're safe, they can come, they share their stories, why they came. And I think this is the magical healing process that is going on when we're just sitting together. There is no you have to, it's just a welcoming place. I went to the mall with these pictures and I said, I can get people here. They will buy food from you. They will buy clothes. We are good to be with you. We're good energy here. We are blessed in Cornwall that it's a kind of a local community. So everybody knows everyone, and the owners of the project in the mall, they are local people. This is why it was in Cornwall special as well, that we know each other, and people comes to the Cornwall and they say, where are the next gathering? We want to come. The kids, they wait to see each other because it's become a big family kind of connection. And then when we get a big support from the city, that make more trust. This project is going to grow because the city is now with us. And this was one of my discussions with the city. I'm not offering things for the people. This happiness will not happen unless the people come and also create. So I'm not a show. I'm not gonna, sit and paint and then they come see the painting. I can, but this is not the Cornwall Art Hive. Cornwall Art Hive is we do it together. And when this is happening, this was the main intention of being together, healing back. The city is putting their energy with us. So I think this is why we have to focus again and remember the main intention, why we're doing this.
Relationships built over time. This is very key.
Yes, great idea. I think if you ask about us, no, we don't have a shop or a place to be in. We have been outside from the beginning. We have been in the middle of the mall first, and then we thought maybe the middle of the mall is not really calling people in. Again, the idea of the show, they think that we're gonna do something and then show it in the end of the day. So we decided to move next to the dollar store and in the entrance of the mall, and we have our banner. So people comes, and even if they look and they don't want to come in, me and another volunteer, we go and talk with them, and we have the flyers and we tell them you're welcome to come with us. But no, I think to have a small booth, if we don't have the money to rent even a booth, so we just every time we put the things and like the circus, and then we take everything away. But it's important, if we have a space, I would prefer to have a booth and tables outside. Yes, the donation box makes people feel that they're part of this happening, right? And when we said once, oh, we don't have more glitter. So the mom left the table and she went to the dollar store and she got the things that we were missing, which is nice. We found it later, but I mean, she was nice to do this. She felt she's part of the giving and taking, and this building a good connection, because I will say not everyone is open to receive. And then they wonder what should they give in return, and they ask lots of questions. If should be participate in something, I'm not knowing their agenda, what they want me to be in. But when we're doing it together, as if you're going to a party with a plate, people welcome pictures. They want to talk with us because we need them as they need us. So we make this opening for making it a circle, is not one-way giving. And this cookie idea for $1 with a coffee, it was only in the coffee shop, and one very nice gentleman, he said, I'm coming for the coffee because it's cheaper here, but I'm not going to create. He came, and then we figured out after maybe half an hour, he's a photographer, and he shared his pictures, and he was telling us about how he takes pictures and stuff, but he came because the coffee was cheaper in this place. So this is all great idea to create connection with the people. Now in the summer, the park become more attractive place. So we're going to go back to the park, and when the winter will come, the park people we meet, they will follow us to the mall. So we will keep playing with the weather and go up and in here, but we cannot leave the mall.
Thank you, everyone, so much for this conversation. It's really important, and I look forward to continue this conversation. I think it's one that we could actually make some progress with. So I really, let's keep going with it.